the collector's curse. One thing demons can never resist is desperate humans. They become pathetic, easily manipulated victims. Amelia had now joined this category. Since learning that the pregnant woman she hit with her car last night had died, her mind had been tirelessly searching for a way to escape the consequences of her actions. And my kind demon friends, they didn't turn away this woman who had come to them of her own accord. They opened their arms wide to embrace the desperate soul. Chapter 5. Strange Situations. Amelia's desperate mind was so consumed with her current predicament that she didn't question why a priest and a nun were in this abandoned ghost town, in this decrepit church. Perhaps it was because she believed only a miracle could save her from this situation. Her mind associated their presence with such a miracle. But what Amelia thought didn't matter, because the ones inside this ruin weren't faithful clergy filled with compassion. They were two demons who delighted in mocking Amelia's fragile mind. Moreover, the merciless demon I mentioned at the beginning of the story hadn't even entered the scene yet. From the moment Amelia began recounting her experiences, she twisted the events to fit a narrative that served her own interest. They thought I was alone. I wasn't alone, Father. I swear I wasn't alone. No one else can see him, but I can. He stopped me from seeing that pregnant woman until it was too late. I'm certain of it. I wanted to help her, I swear I did. But he told me he would kill me if I stopped. I was terrified. So I fled. I left that poor woman in the middle of the road, Amelia sobbed as she spoke. The priest and nun listened to her with solemn faces. After a brief silence, the priest finally spoke. My dear child, don't cry anymore. We believe you. I promise you, we will help you, he said, smiling at her with teary eyes. The nun immediately chimed in. We can hide you here. No one will find you. You'll stay here with us. You can even help us old folks out, she said, gently patting Amelia's back. But they'll find my car nearby. They'll figure out I'm here. They know who I am, everything about me. We can't hide. This would be the first place they'd look, Amelia said helplessly. Leave that to us. Don't worry about it. The people of this town will embrace you as one of their own, the priest replied. Amelia was stunned by what she heard. The townspeople? What do you mean? She asked. Sometimes our eyes cannot see, our minds cannot comprehend, and our ears cannot hear. This is not an abandoned town, Amelia, the priest responded. I don't understand. I can't understand, Amelia stammered in fear, as she slowly backed away from the priest and nun. Stay away from me. What are you? What nonsense are you spouting? Don't come any closer. Stay back, Amelia screamed. The priest and nun smiled at her with endless affection. After a brief exchange of glances, they lunged at her with the agility of wild predators. They caught her. If I had placed a bet on Amelia fainting from terror at that moment, I'd have won. Chapter 6. When the veil lifts, Amelia regained consciousness at dawn. The light streaming into the room blinded her momentarily. At first, she saw blurry silhouettes. Once her eyes adjusted, she realized she was surrounded by the priest, the nun, and the townsfolk, all watching her. She was bewildered. This decrepit town, which had seemed like a place of horrors the night before, now appeared to her as a serene paradise. Everyone was smiling warmly. Free from the terrors of the night, Amelia sat up in bed. Noticing the questions written across her face, The priest sat beside her and took her hand. Like a wise man who knew the thoughts running through her mind, he asked everyone to leave the room. Since he lacked the authority to make me leave, I stayed and listened. I know we frightened you last night. Please understand that we did it to protect you. Without lifting the veil from your eyes, you couldn't have seen the truth about this town. Years ago, misunderstood souls like you built this safe haven to protect themselves from the outside world. They hid it from ordinary eyes. For years, this town has been shielded from all evil, the priest explained, taking a deep breath before continuing. To save you, I've risked the peace of this town. From what you told us last night, it's clear you've been possessed by a demon. We can't keep you here in this state. Either we must perform an exorcism immediately, or we'll have to send you away. I can't risk the safety of so many for just one person. When Amelia imagined being cast out and captured by the police, she nearly lost her mind. Admitting that she'd lied wasn't an option either. They might have decided to help her last night because they believed her story about the demon. Admitting the truth could lead to her expulsion. Thinking quickly, she made a decision. Father, I'm grateful. Let's do whatever we must, Amelia said. We don't have much time. We need to begin the exorcism tonight, the priest said, leaving the room. Once Amelia was certain she was alone, she began nervously biting her nails, lost in thought about the unknown future awaiting her. Chapter 7. The Collector's Town. I've told you before how much I know about this town and how much I enjoy its coffee. Let me share with you some of the other things I know about it. This town is a ghostly place created by a demon known as the Collector. My acquaintance with the Collector goes way back. His cruelty is unmatched. To call him pure evil would be an understatement. The Collector had a passion for theater. He personally designed this town, which he called his grand stage. Imagine an improvisational theater troupe. He gathered the best male and female demon actors here, a talented ensemble capable of invading minds and crafting the most cunning performances. Most of their shows were for themselves, but once a year, on Halloween, they would open them to all demons. If you happen to be in the area during Halloween, I'm sure you'd want to stay, especially if you're the sacrificial guest of honor. The Collector would gather those who wandered into his town. As I write this, Amelia passed by the restaurant where I'm seated. She was smiling and greeting people as she walked, but I suspect she sees everything the way they want her to. Just moments ago, a demon handed her a pile of excrement, and Amelia ate it, thanking the demon. Seeing the truth from this side disgusted me. Perhaps viewing it from Amelia's perspective might be refreshing. Chapter 8. The Ghost Town. Through Amelia's eyes, the town was vibrant. It felt as if she had traveled back to the most beautiful days of the past. Everyone in the town was cheerful and friendly. Amelia wanted to speak with the owners of the house she had entered and eaten from without permission the night before. She wanted to apologize and thank them. The house looked magnificent. Even though she knocked on the door for a long time, no one answered. As she was about to leave, she noticed a handsome man approaching her. Amelia's heart raced. Under the warming sun, she imagined herself making love to this man. To summarize their conversation quickly, Amelia learned that the man lived in this house and that his name was Adam. She apologized for the previous night and said She wanted to apologize to the other residents of the house as well. That's when she discovered that Adam lived there, alone. Amelia started to imagine a life with Adam in this town, even having children together. My magnificent horror story was turning into a silly romantic comedy. I can't let my story be ruined by narrating it through Amelia's eyes any longer. Chapter 9. The Exorcism Ritual. Though Amelia saw herself in a Hollywood-style romantic comedy, she was actually in a filthy, grotesque town filled with monsters. That's how demons play their games. They make you eat a plate of feces, calling it pork chops. Amelia spent the day with the handsome man she'd met, flirting with him until evening. When night fell, she returned to the church. The priest and nun wasted no time starting the ritual. They laid Amelia inside a circle drawn in the center of the church. They tightly bound her hands and feet. As she lay in an X-shaped position, the priest smiled at her reassuringly to renew her trust. Amelia was tense, fearing they might discover she wasn't actually possessed. Should she perform the exaggerated antics she'd seen in movies, she wondered. At this point, Amelia's will was nearly broken. The priest gently asked, "Amelia, do you give us permission to perform this ritual?" Amelia exhaled deeply, whispering, "Yes, I give you permission." The priest began chanting loudly in an incomprehensible language. Just then, the townsfolk entered the church, led by Adam. As the crowd calmly took their seats in the pews, Adam approached Amelia. She smiled at him with joy. Adam quietly crossed the circle's boundary. He climbed onto Amelia and smiled. Adam brought his hands to Amelia's face. Amelia felt a pressure in her eyes that quickly turned into excruciating pain. Adam had gouged out her eyes. Amelia knew this because she could see her eyes in Adam's hands. She could still see everything exactly as it was. Adam looked like a grotesque, hideous monster. The stench of the church hit her nose. As she tried to take in her surroundings, she noticed the figures of people chained to the carefully arranged ceiling of the church. Their bodies were covered in wounds, writhing in pain. Before she could process what had happened to them, she felt a terrible pain in her mouth. The demon sitting on her was pulling at her tongue, his long, filthy, sharp nails pressed into it. Amelia's world became nothing but agony and the taste of her own blood. The demon tore her tongue out and devoured it. The demon relished the taste of what he ate, but the collector preferred his meals rancid. He would wait for Amelia's flesh to rot before feasting on her. Perhaps, until then, he would take small bites from her to keep her alive. After consuming a few of her fingers, they hung Amelia alongside the other chained victims. I'm entirely certain that the rest of her fingers will soon be eaten. These chained people were the demon's collection. They were the spectators he had gathered from the first day of the town's creation to its last. Every new performer, without exception, became part of this collection at the end of the show. Their entire living bodies and nervous systems remained intact, unharmed, fully aware, feeling everything. These people were sometimes used as breeders. Babies were born. Those babies either served, were eaten, or were chained. And those chained remained part of the collection until the day they met their end. The end. See you in new stories. From existence to extinction.